Historic stuff on how great his game was last night. What was your number one takeaway?
I had a lot of takeaways. Number one, and this is not just based off last night, but I've been hinting at it for a while, you guys know. Tyrese Haliburton is the best player in this series.
Oh, yeah.
Better than Jalen Brunson, better than Karl Anthony Towns. And Tyrese Haliburton is a rarity nowadays because he is a true point guard. He's such a rarity that a lot of people don't even know what to make of him. They're saying, oh, he only gets 20 points. You know, like that's a problem. And because all of the other great point guards, and they are great, Brunson, it's not in order, Steph, Dame, Tyrese Maxey, Ja Morant, De'Aaron Fox.
They're score first.
They're all score first. I got like several listed on here. They're all score first, pass second point guards. Some of these guys make their teammates better. Steph certainly does because of all his movement and the attention he draws, but a lot of them don't. And Tyrese Haliburton makes his teammates better. He is a floor general that we're not used to seeing anymore. He controls the tempo. He gets the ball to the hot hand. He doesn't turn the ball over. He averaged less than 2 turnovers this year with more than 9 assists a game. He reads the defense. Like, this dude, he can impact the game by scoring 14 points. Now, last night, obviously, he was great, but he, in addition to being a true point guard, he can give you 20, sometimes 30 points in a game. He's a 3-level scorer. He can hit the 3. I heard somebody today say, oh, his weakness is outside shot. Really? He's a 39% career three-point shooter. All right? He can hit the mid-range jumper. He shoots a set shot from 3, a jumper in the mid-range. And he can get to the basket like he did last night. And obviously, he's a terrific passer. Not just good passer, but he got a little flash with his passing game, too. So I think he is making his teammates better. And that was my biggest takeaway. Like, this dude is something special.
Before I give my takeaway, can I give you a comp that is going to, I think, initially feel like, well, they're so different, but I'm not sure how different they are. Steve Nash.
I got Steve Nash written down.
So, Steve Nash Steve Nash should have shot more. Now that we look back on it, because he was a 50, 40, 90 guy.
Right.
But he was a 20 and 10 guy.
Not 20 and 10. I mean, he never averaged 20.
I think during in the playoffs 20. During his peak, I'm pretty sure.
Not for a season.
Oh, sure.
Not in the regular season.
Even when he won the MVP.
He wasn't as good of a scorer as Haliburton.
But he was. Oh, so 18 and 11 thereabouts with Phoenix, and when he was winning the MVPs, and this pace, you know what I mean? Get the ball out and run, and a guy. The other aspect that I would add to it is the team has taken on his personality and style and all of it. If I were going pencil to paper yesterday, I would have had Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Haliburton 1 or 2 players ranked apart on my current list with Jalen Brunson ahead of him. Yeah. So I don't know that I can, after last night, be like, well, now they've flipped. But it is very close. And what is, to me, definitively true, and this is why when we've talked about Durant, for example, and I've kind of harped on the fact that since he tore his Achilles, he's played 0 conference finals games, that he's only played a few games past round 1. One of my favorite things about the NBA are these round 3 and then eventually round 4. Holy crap, I'm going to remember that game. Like, that was a great performance. I feel like Shea and his big 3 had one 2 nights ago. Like, I might not, in a few years, remember all the details. Like, man, they combined for almost 100. Shea was 1 rebound away from a 40-point triple-double. Right. And then Haliburton, in the game to take control of the series, doing what you showed a list of who's done it. If you do 30 points, 10 assists, no turnovers, forget the rebounds entirely, that list in the playoffs is 6 guys long. Baron Davis is the only one to also have the triple-double. He was
the only one to do What, the triple-double and no turnovers with 30-point triple-double?
No, that's what he and Barron are the only ones who do the 30-point
but no
triple-double.
turnovers.
With no turnovers.
Oh, Barron had no turnovers?
Yeah, exactly right. Because this is just 30 and 10.
They showed he was the only
It might have been the only 30 and 15. But regardless, this was a all-time conference finals performance in a game that his team controlled. But man, the way this series has gone, late in the fourth when the Knicks cut it to 6, it felt like, oh man, are they going to steal one back the way the Pacers had stolen game 1, not in quite as dramatic fashion, and he wouldn't let it happen. And so I think that his ability to play that pace and push that pace always after misses and even after makes is such an edge, because the vast majority of the league simply does not want to play that way, and really none of the really good teams want to play that way. Like some of the bad teams try to play a fast pace. The Pacers are the only great team that tries to play this breakneck pace, and he's to use a cliche, the head of the snake of the whole thing.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I said this in my other video with the herd. I mean, you're watching that game and you felt like you were witnessing history. And it was so cool that it actually ended up being historic. Because I'm watching that game. I was watching that game actually just like laying in my bed actually watching it. And I'm just like, I'm watching one of the greatest performances I've ever seen in my entire life. And I really try when I think those thoughts or even say them out loud, like, I want it to be accurate. I don't want to just like every time come up here and be like, that was the greatest I've ever seen. And it just like, it gets watered down. But then when you actually see the box score and be like, no, this actually was historic. You're like, oh, great. My eyes were telling the truth. And it was extraordinary. It was. And it's just like, he does everything. He does what Steph Curry and LeBron and, any of these other great scorers brings to the table. But then also brings what some of the other guys that those players needed, like the Dennis Rodmans, like the Draymond Greens, like the Drew Holidays, like the, even right now with OKC, the Carusos, like these other players to do all this other small, tiny, dirty work, to be the energizer, to keep the energy, to get that tough contested rebound, to make that amazing pass, that when there was a big shot at one end of the court, to get the ball inbounded, and then immediately push the ball so you can like recapture the momentum. Like, these are all things that a lot of times you don't 100% rely on, the MJs, the LeBrons, the Stephs, the KDs necessarily to do. And he's doing everything. He's literally checking off every single box. It's like almost like if you were creating a player in any game you want, this is the type of player that you would be creating. Not to mention, go add in 4 steals, for good measure, and a high shooting percentage as well. So, I mean, it was amazing. It was awesome. If you're a basketball fan, you just have to appreciate greatness, and also it's so important to actually watch the game and look beyond just the box score, because you got to see the assists that he was making. You got to see the way he was scoring and when he was scoring, the rebounds he was getting, the forced turnovers, the steals, etc., etc., etc. I mean, it was just such high level ball. I mean, it was flawless. It was extraordinary, and it was electric to watch. I mean, it really was. The Pacers, and that pace, and the Knicks were keeping up with them, and it was just like the game as a whole. I was like, this is one of the most exciting games I've ever seen. I mean, I was like, this is basketball. This is why this game right here is why regular season ball is just not it. Is why it's, this game right there is why it's so hard to watch a basketball game in October. It just is. Why it's hard to watch, the Pacers play the Bulls in October 12th, on a Tuesday. You're like, all right. I mean, I go, they're playing the Sixers. Oh, the Sixers have 7 wins. Like, okay. Like, it becomes impossible to watch, honestly, when you see a game like this and you're just like, this is unbelievable. This is basketball. This is basketball. Just an awesome, awesome game, no matter how you slice. And it is funny because, like, you can see them getting kind of confused, and understandably so, because it is. Like, when you slice up like the players that at least have 30, 10, and 10, 30, 15, and 10, 30, 10, and 5, like there's all these different variations that you can like kind of mix this around, and that's why even Haliburton was like, I think you guys are just like making up stats now to make it look better, but like no matter how you slice it, it is legitimately historic, and pretty mind-blowing, and just high level ball. And the beauty of it is, it's not like the Pacers need him to be this type of player game after game after game. I mean, it's just the whole team is empowered to get theirs and yet still play as a team. And I think also why Haliburton doesn't get as much credit or praise or popularity as some of the other players that Brew and Nick were talking about is because I think ultimately pretty much all of those players, their superpower, or at least one of their main top superpowers, was like, gotta get a bucket, and I can get a bucket. I can impose my will. I'm either going to make an absolutely unbelievably amazing shot, or I can get to the rim on command. I can just get there. Now, of course, Haliburton has that ability to a degree, but it's not his superpower. It's not like what he's known. He's not known for, although he's been making some huge shots right now, but it's not the same thing as like Steph Curry hitting a logo three, right? It's not the same thing as like, even Brunson right now, who's obviously on a lower level than the Steph Currys of the world, at least in terms of like their legacy and whatnot and what they've been able to achieve. Like you can even see in this game, like when it was time, when they needed to get a basket, Brunson was able to get to the rim and get the ball in there, right? Like he was able to get it done. You wouldn't say that Tyrese Haliburton has that same level of reliability in that aspect of his game. That's not his superpower necessarily. If you take that away from Brunson, he's kind of nothing. If you take away that from Steph Curry, he's essentially nothing. So it's just like, that is like, I don't want to say nothing's too strong of a word, but it's just what makes them ultimately incredibly special. And Haliburton is really just right now a Swiss Army knife. And so you can take away one of the tools in that Swiss Army knife, and yet he's still going to be balling. He's still going to contribute, which is why he can only put up 15, 20 points and still have massive impact on the game. Very Draymond Green-esque, where Nick Wright always makes fun of him and says, oh, wow, he had a triple single. And it was like, and yeah. And he was absolutely, undeniably one of the most important people on that court. And his value, is immeasurable. So that is type of this that is type of the flavor that a Haliburton kind of brings, which is why it's cool to see him give such a juiced up box score like this, because it's like, this is what he does in any given night. You just saw the extreme version of it, right? I think it's also to kind of keep with the Draymond Green comparison. It's like, you don't realize how important Draymond Green's defense is until he has a moment when the clock is winding down, you got to win a big game, and the other team's star has the ball, and Draymond Green is responsible for shutting him down. It's harder to see his great defense in like the second and third quarter and in October and whatever. It's only in these big dramatic moments where you're like, oh, okay, that's why it's so important. And those moments happen more regularly than you realize. It's just not always with the clock winding down, seconds left, and 1-on-1 there. And so this is what Haliburton brings to the Pacers. It's just, you just don't always see the 32, 12, and 15 and 0 turnover box score. So it just gets lost in the fold. Especially when you're not having like logo threes or intense dunks that carry the highlights in those other moments that don't, equate to 32, 12, and 15. So it's just remarkable. It really is. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Haliburton's historic night and the Pacers, obviously taking the commanding lead 3-1? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.